guardians of the Peace of Ireland, or also known as the Garda Síochána. This is the police force in Ireland that has been established since the 1920s and is a centralized institution that is unarmed and differs from the county constabularies of Britain and the armed police of Northern Ireland. Today I want to talk to you all about the early days of the Garda, what the Garda is, what they're doing today, and why they should continue what they've been doing for so many years. The 1920s was a turbulent decade in general for Ireland. In 1922, they gained their independence from Britain, and also that same decade, they fought a civil war on the home front. However, before all this, there were two distinct forces in Ireland for policing: the Dublin Metropolitan Police and the Royal Irish Constabulary, which became known as the Civic Guard. The Civic Guard was adopted by the Irish Free State in 1922 as a model for the new force. Both forces integrated in 1925 to form the Garda. And the idea of abandonment of arms was determined from the start, partly because the National Army at this time was being established, and it made no sense to have two armed forces. At this time, policing was to become consensual, not coercive. The success of this underlined the legitimacy of the new state. Now, let's look at the Garda and what makes up the force. Back in the 1960s, the Garda's total strength was 6,500. Today, it is nearly over 11,000 members, including the band Garda, which is the women police. Their command structure consists of the commissioner, who is the overall commander, the deputy commissioner, 6 assistant commissioners, the chief superintendent, the superintendent, the inspector, and the Garda. Inspector and Garda are either plainclothes or uniformed. If they are plainclothes, they are known as detectives. And at the detective ranks is where the exception to the rule on weapons comes into play. They are specially trained groups that, similar to Scotland Yard, that are specially trained in firearms. The Garda's principal duties are prevention and detection of crime, normal patrol, work to keep the peace, preservation of order in public places and on public occasions, protection of state and other dignitaries. Like most others, they also have the power to arrest, detain, and lay charges against the person who is suspected of a crime. However, with changing times comes changing viewpoints and opinions, and with this also comes difficulty. With the ever-increasing rise in crime, and in particular drug-related and associated gang crime and feuds, they are thinking of allowing guns to be used in Ireland by their police forces, by select Garda groups, but therefore expanding gun use in their government. Specially trained members of the Garda are being used as rapid response units to counteract such developments. These rapid response units are equivalent to our SWAT units here in the United States. They're highly trained, and they're highly trained in the use of weaponry. We wouldn't change our gun laws that we have had in our country and our lives since the beginning of the country. So why change Ireland's gun laws that have been established in their country since their independence in the 1920s? The citizens still have their right to bear arms, just like we do here. So don't confuse what the government is trying to do with their police with the citizens. But why change something that has been good, that has been a good thing for them? The United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime and the Center for International Crime Prevention publish crime statistics on murders with firearms in countries around the world. The United States ranked number 4 with 9,369 murders within a year. When you look at Ireland, however, they're ranked number 41 with only 12. That's a big difference. Here, Ireland is a country that allows citizens to bear arms and they enforce their laws without guns. Compare that to the U.S. Here, we have guns, we have laws allowing us to bear arms, but our government enforces our laws with guns. Somehow, Ireland's crime statistics still manage to be so much lower than ours. Maybe the U.S. could learn from this. Although the Garda is not planning on becoming a completely reliable force where they rely on guns heavily, it is still too much gun use for such a peaceful country, who has had such a peaceful history. If they start using guns more now, the situation can only escalate further, and eventually the Garda will become like our police forces, having the ability to bear arms, having every officer have the ability to bear arms while on patrol. It should leave well enough alone. What has been working for the past 70 years has been effective and can continue on in the future. So, hear me when I say this. Keep Ireland from changing their gun laws. Keep the limitations